Hi guys, it's Jenny here and I'm back with another 12 by 12 process video for you today, and this is for Kitaholic Kits and I'm using the May kits. Now I'm just flicking through the photos. I've got 4 of them there. Eddie and Hamish and I went to the Esplanade, which is one of our local parks, and they've got some really big aviaries there with some native birds and stuff. So this is just a few photos of Eddie and I kind of talking to the birds, if you will, and this layout's kind of going to be about Eddie and I guess myself a little bit, but more so about Eddie and her love for animals, and yeah, so I decided I'd do a bit of a grid style layout. It was just kind of calling to me. I felt like it should be done with all this stuff, and it just felt right with the multiple photos. So I'm going through the 12 by 12 pattern papers that we've got in the kit, and I decided on 3 by 4 squares. I felt like that size would be balanced enough to get 6 squares on my grid. So I ended up cutting out 7 completely by accident. I wasn't counting very well, clearly, but I do put one aside, and I think it's that camera one that ends up getting put aside. I felt like that was a bit too, the images on the camera paper was a bit too sharp to go with the rest of the pattern paper. So here we go, I'm just kind of deciding where I think I like them, and I feel like there's a good balance there, but I do end up switching that butterfly with the blue floral, just to get a bit more balance. I felt like 2 florals in a row was a bit off, so you'll see me switch it in a minute. There we go. And I have, instead of making it completely symmetrical, I have decided to overlap 2 photos that are quite similar on the bottom left hand corner, just to kind of, I feel like the photos are kind of forming a visual triangle for this layout. Not that I really kind of focus on that kind of design aspect. I really just do what I want and what I think looks good on the page, but because the photos are black and white, they really stand out. So I've got them in place, and I just measured 1.5 inches from the top and 1 inch from the side, and just put a little pencil mark, and I'm just going to adhere each of the 4 corner ones down, and then I will just really pretty much just eyeball the 2 centre ones with a ruler as to where they should be. I wasn't being a complete perfectionist, so here we go. I've skipped ahead and I'm just adhering my last one. So I'm just using a ruler just to get that line straight. So just put my photos back in place, and now I'm going to start to embellish. So I sat down and I fussy cut some of the flowers out of the pattern papers, and also a few of the butterflies as well. And I thought I had half flowers, and I thought maybe I could just keep these flowers contained within each of the squares, but when I started doing it, I didn't like it. I felt like they really needed to spread out over the edges of the pattern paper, if that makes sense, onto the white. And you'll see me now, this is where I decide, yeah, okay, they need to kind of just form their own shape and spread out a little bit and soften the sharp edges of the pattern papers, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to start building my clusters here with all my flowers. And I mean, those half flowers are fine, they can get tucked under. Here's one that's been cut in half. They will just kind of tuck under each other. So just continuing to add flowers, just bits and bobs, making sure I'm getting a good variety of colour and sizes and shapes, and I'm just adding some little bits here to kind of extend those clusters out. So I'm going to start on this one here, and there's that half flower, so it can be tucked under a photo quite easily. I'm just going to continue, making sure again to get a good range of colour and shapes and sizes. Got a lighter pink rose, it's going to get tucked under there, and a little blue one on top. I do add a few just little smaller ones on there, like a corner of each of the photos, just to kind of help cement them onto the page and into those flower clusters, just to make them feel like they belong a bit more. So I'm just going to continue to add these. Now trust me when I say I don't make you watch me glue them all down, because it's pretty simple, but I wanted you to kind of see my thought process and where I place things. Okay, just continuing with that a little bit more, And I'm making sure to place the larger pieces on the bottom and then building with my smaller pieces on top and out towards the edges. If that makes sense. A little leaf up there, felt like it's a bit empty, and a little blue one on top of that corner of the photo, and another yellow one on top there. So just combining that photo with my clusters. Rightio. So I like them and I don't want to mess it all up, so I'm going to glue them down. So I'll show you how I glue the first cluster. I just glued that little flower on top of there, and I'm going to put some foam under this one because there's no photo or anything, so I wanted to bring a bit of dimension. But in every other cluster I don't put foam behind any of the flowers, I just put foam behind the photos. So the two single photos on the right hand side of the page have adhesive foam behind them, and on the left hand side, those two photos, only the top one has adhesive foam on it, the bottom one is adhered straight to the pattern paper in that flower cluster. Yeah, so I'm just gluing these little bits down, making sure I'm getting them in the right spot. And the blue one, and then finally that large flower there. There we go. Isn't that pretty? I really love how this layout came out. It's super busy. It is so me. But it's just, yeah, pretty. I love this collection. And the kits this month are beautiful. So there we go. I've skipped ahead. Everything is adhered down so far. And I'm going to work on kind of filling up the page and my title, my journaling, and just adding little bits and pieces. So I pull a little label off of the sticker sheets and just tuck that behind the photo of me on the bottom right hand side of the page, and a couple of little banners here. Now I've kind of spaced them out because I'm going to add two there. You can see that one there. I'm going to put a little bit of foam behind them just to add a bit of interest under that photo, and I feel like the foam behind those two really adds dimension and interest to that little section of the page. So there we go. Got a little bit of foam behind there. I'll glue that down and just tuck it under the photo, and then we'll skip two and I've done the fourth one. So there we go, that's done. Rightio, so just continuing to look for little pieces. I've got a little yellow banner that says happy happy, and I put that on the photo of me because I am. I think there's close-ups at the end of the video, but you'll see the little bird. I think it's a little cockatiel. He's come right up to the cage and he's letting me give his little chest a little rub. He was adorable. So, yeah, I was in my element. I love birds. All animals. But yeah, birds are just about my favourite. They're pretty special little creatures. So just a few tiny word stickers I'm adding in place. So the one or the photo of Eddie says kind. The one that I've just popped up the top of the photo of me says being me. And this one I've just put up says full of heart or love. Another one, this longer one, says enjoying the little things in life. And I ended up cutting that in half. And I started to stick it on the photo, but then realised that I was actually covering up the picture of the bird. So I move it in a second. There we go. Oh, I've gone, uh-oh. And I'll move it and put it on that pink pattern paper there. So just tuck that up there. And that fills in that kind of awkward little space as well. Brings a bit of interest. Okay, some more stickers. This is from the 12 by 12 sticker sheet from the Simple Stories I Am collection. And I saw the big I am and I thought, oh, okay, that could be the basis for my title. But I wasn't sure where to put it because it was black and cream and it kind of like cheetah spots or leopard spots or something. It looked odd on that blue pattern paper. So I kind of fussed with it for a little bit. I felt like that would be the perfect spot for it, but then I decided no, I'm going to move it down, and I'm glad I put it in the centre because this starts my process of kind of connecting all of these squares together. When I do a grid style layout, I like to have each of the sections be able to stand on their own, but also so that the layout feels cohesive and not just like clumps of embellishments and pen and paper. I like to connect all those sections. So this is what I'm trying to do now. So I've got the banner floating from that top one to the centre, and I'm popping the I am up on some foam, so I didn't make you watch me do it all, but there we go. I'm just going to glue them all down. And that A kind of covers up that odd end of the banner. A little yellow bird off the 12x12 sticker sheet. I'm just going to pop down there because it's a layout about birds. Well, there's birds on it. So that's a must. And I thought I would make use of these little fussy cut butterflies and kind of use them to help connect the rest of the layout. So I'm going to add 3 down here, and that's kind of filling in that space there and connecting the top and the bottom. And we've got a couple at the top of the eye, and then I do one up in that top left hand corner, and that fills up that kind of empty space up there and softens those harsh corners on the page. So what I'm doing to make sure that they don't get squished down when they go in the album is just putting a bit of adhesive foam in under either side of the wings, and then just gluing the centre part down. I haven't put glue behind that adhesive. Okay, so they're all done, and I'm going to continue with some little bits and pieces. A little tiny word sticker, say simply me, and I felt like that was right and like perfect to go directly under that word I am. Yeah, a couple of little feather stickers from the 12x12 sticker sheet. I thought that they would or should go on this layout. So I'm just going to tuck them in there, and that helps to kind of, I guess it's kind of like a filler card, what you would use for like Project Life, but a filler card for my layout. And to fill in this spot, I felt like these words would be a good solution. They'll stand out, they've got a nice white background. So I'm going to layer a whole bunch of them up there. So we've got strong, happy, loved, blessed, enough. So it's got embellishments on it, but it's simple enough to not make the page too heavy. I'm kind of keeping the heaviness to the outside section of the pages. Okay. So I do go ahead and use a few more of the little smaller flowers and stuff that I have cut out. Just kind of sprinkle them around and extend those clusters out a little bit. And I don't make you watch it all. So I had this bright idea to use the stamp that came in the kit, and I didn't stamp it very well the first time. I was going to repeat every single word that was up in that top section. So the strong, the happy, the loved, the blessed, and enough. And I did the first one, that didn't stamp very well. That was my fault. And then I tried the second one, and I didn't stamp that very well. And you can see me go, nope, I'm not going to do any more. I've made a mess. So now I'm frantically trying to think of something to cover up my mess. So I will skip forward in a little bit. But what I end up with is just a black and white checkered heart, the same as what's in that top left-hand corner, and a yellow sticker butterfly. And I felt like that was going to have to do. These are some of the little puffy hearts from the Pink Fresh Studio, the Mix collection. So I'm just adding a few in the colours that kind of coordinate well with the Simple Stories collection. Not too many. I mean, the page is getting rather busy now, but it just adds another texture to the page. So a little heart there, and I think I do a peachy, oh, we've got a blue one up there, a little peachy coloured one, I think, to the top left up there, and then we've got another blue one in that top section when I get there, up in there. Rightio. Okay, I thought I might use some of these sequins, so I just put out a few in the colours that kind of went well. So I've got a yellow and a white and a really pinky colour down the bottom, and then I've got a yellow, a green and a blue up in this top section. I'm just looking for little bits to kind of sprinkle and add little touches, so I felt like the sequins were a good option for that. I'm not going to put a ton, that was it, just 6, just to bring a bit of balance. And then that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the process, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!